Okay, can you all hear me out there?
Yeah, that's good. The speakers are working. Check.
Can I get... Okay, so tonight I've been asked to compare worshiping nature and even the occult versus worshiping the creator of nature. In regards to this group, the question is, are trees to be worshipped, or are trees just another plant for human consumption? I mean, even Jesus was also a carpenter, and my books don't exist without the contribution of trees. So tonight we're going to see what the Bible has to say about this, but you can't accept as scientifically credible what the Bible has to say until you first scientifically prove that the existence of God and the credibility of the Bible. So that's what I'm going to do first. Okay, first we worship something because we know that we're not all it. Obviously there's a giant universe out there that humans aren't responsible for. So we know there is something more. But what is that something more? Okay, so let's see. One of the basic issues of philosophy is it's called the law of non-contradiction. And that means something can't be true and not true at the same time. I'll put it on.
Okay, I'll just leave them right here.
I'll put it on pause.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
And then the 3 steak tacos.
Over here.
Right on. There you go. You're welcome. Thank you guys for waiting.
No problem.
Okay, so, something can't be, the law of non-contradiction says something cannot be true and not true at the same time. So that means there's only one truth. Only one truth. Okay, so now, what is that truth? That's the next question. So, I mean, is there a God? Yes or no? Does the Bible come from God? Yes or no? It's either yes or no. There's no other options. And so, so here's my proof that God exists. Okay, well, I'll take this slow. Okay, the first law of thermodynamics says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So, there should be a tag on that, and it should say, energy can neither be created nor destroyed by something physical. See? So, it's a non-physical thing has to create the universe, the physical universe, because there's nothing in the universe that could create itself. So now we know that the creator of the universe is non-physical. It's also powerful. Obviously, there's a lot of power out there. Also intelligent, and intelligent design is a big deal. So, how do I prove intelligence as part of the non-physical creator? Well, I was in my backyard one day, and I had a cherry tree, and I said, this cherry tree isn't creating any cherries. And somebody said, oh, you have to have another cherry tree, and then bees have to bring pollen from that cherry tree to the other one. And I said, well, it sounds kind of inefficient, but who talked the bees and the trees into all this? So, there has to be an intelligence behind it, because bees and trees don't have the intelligent ability to create that system. Okay, also another one is, I was looking up in the sky one day and I saw birds flying in a V. And I said, wait a minute, how did that happen? I mean, they don't have the intelligence to coordinate that themselves, see? So, it has to be built into their DNA. Well, they didn't build their DNA, so who did? Okay, so now we have a non-physical, powerful, intelligent, and then I'm going to say eternal. There had to be something eternal to do all that, because there's nothing and nothing to create something, and all somethings come from something. So, there has to be something that existed eternally. you know, we can't exactly fathom that because we don't exist eternally. So it's hard for us to fathom that. But things can exist without our being able to explain them. You know, like for instance, a paramecium can't understand romance. A tree doesn't understand comedy. You know. So anyway, so the creator of the universe had to be a non-physical, powerful, intelligent, eternal being. Had to be a being because computers are intelligent, functioning things, but somebody had to program them, build them, provide the power, you know, for them to operate and push buttons, you know. So the creator of the universe had to be a non-physical, powerful, intelligent, eternal being. Hence, God. There you go. So that's the proof of God right there.
What about those people who say it just evolved over time? It just took a long time.
Okay, so we'll get into that now. But you set me up. So does the Bible come from God? That's the next question. See, well, what the Bible says, in answer to your question, is that the universe was made in, well, actually one day, and the whole thing was developed in 6 days, 6 literal days. Now, how is that possible when they say that 14.5 billion years is how old the universe is? Well, what they have wrong there is that the universal speed limit is the speed of light.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. That's been proven many times to not be true. But I'll be very specific about that. The 2011 Nobel Prize of Physics was given to some guys who proved that the outer galaxies were traveling much faster than the speed of light. Yeah, much faster. And I've got it calculated in my one of my DVDs. So therefore, it could have gotten out there faster. I mean, they're reading it's the redshift of the outer galaxies, and they're reading how fast that's saying, you know, but based on the Doppler effect for light. So, so that's how fast they're traveling. But now, in 2014, I mean, I have this in my DVD too. All the top universities, not all of them, I mean, a lot of the top universities say that at the Big Bang, it blew out so fast that it's like 10 to the 10th power times the speed of light.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's like, it just went whoosh, one day, let there be light.
One day.
Yeah, one day.
Wow.
And then we're measuring the galaxies, the outer galaxies, that are showing that it's traveling that fast.
Still.
See? Still. Because, you know, like, okay, when it blew out there, there's nothing impeding it. I mean, the heavens were empty, what the Bible says. So there's nothing impeding it. So then forces started forming, and then it started slowing down.
The gravity.
Yeah, and that's and electromagnetic forces, and so that's you know, what's being shown now. So evolution didn't have any time to do that, to do the trip. Well, I mean, there's a lot of proof against evolution, though. There's the Cambrian explosion, you know, and the Cambrian explosion says that all the basic phyla and body parts came into being at the same time. You know,
how can that happen?
they didn't evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, like God said, you know, everything after its kind. So, I mean, my book, The Proof, that what I just said was one chapter. There's 10 chapters, you know, each with the proof. There's sociological proof, psychological proof, And so, supernatural proof, prophecies, all these things. So the Bible is, is it. It's proven to be infallible. It's the only thing proven to be infallible. So now we can go to the Bible and say, well, now what does the Bible have to say? Now that we've proven, one, that there's a God, two, that there's that the Bible comes from God. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so what does the Bible say about trees? And it says that basically they're for us. They're for human consumption. Like I said, Jesus was a carpenter, so he wasn't making it out of moss. He was making things out of trees. And that makes sense. I mean, the trees are no different than asparagus or beets. Trees, are for human consumption. Okay, so now let's talk about. Well, let's see. Let's go to what the religion of the mainstream is, and that's secular humanism. Now, even Webster's dictionary defines it that way, and it's like, what is a religion? A religion defines existence, and it also defines morality. So that's the definition of a religion. So secular humanism is a religion because it defines existence as evolution,
right,
and it defines morality as political correctness.
Correct.
So political correctness does not work. Evolution cannot be proven. Matter of fact, it can be proven against all the tenets of evolution. So, a couple of things about the age of the universe and the Earth. Well, I just talked about the age of the universe, how that can be proven, and the age of the Earth, how that can be proven. And the thing, one of their tenets of their religion is what I call the dating game. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, come on down, professors from colleges who are intimidated to not say the truth. The dating game, I show many examples of how the top dating laboratories have gotten it wrong. They'll say, this mollusk is 1.5 million years old. And then the person is going to say, well, I just went down to the beach and picked it up. So they get a lot of things wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about liberals for a second. Liberals, basically, they feel like something is wrong in the world, and they're right. But what they say that it is, they're not right. So they don't realize that the something that's wrong is sin.
Right.
But okay, so what did they say? They say, it's got to be freedom for women's liberation. That didn't work out too good. Okay, so then they say, gay liberation, sexual liberation, transgenders. It's just like
never ending.
Why? Because they don't feel free.
Right.
And as long as they don't feel free, they're going to keep finding something new. So that's what I describe in my book, The Plague of Liberalism. I say that I've written a program about addiction, how people can be free from addiction, basically because God's got the power of their heart, and He just has to give them the strength and take away the weakness, and boom, it's gone. Only God can do that, though. But what they are addicted to is they're addicted to freedom and trying to find every new
Their
barrier.
definition of freedom.
Yeah, well, they're addicted to freedom, but they're not finding true freedom.
Right.
Because only God can give that. So they keep breaking down barriers. What I say about barriers is I say, if you're living in an enclosure and you're not free to go outside of the enclosure, but the enclosure also protects you from lions and tigers, so that's what God's holiness and God's ways are. His rules against sin is like, it's that enclosure that gives us the freedom to be inside and relax. So let's see,
And grow.
and grow. Is that what I said? Yeah. So anyway, so liberals are energized. You know, why do they fight so much and march and they're so angry and everything? They're energized by their condition, which is a lack of freedom. See, so that of course that's going to energize anybody, you know, and
Like
so
a never-ending mission.
right, that's
You're
right.
an accident of physics. Why does it concern you what other people think?
Yeah, that's right. Why are they're really into God? They talk a lot about God.
Yeah.
For somebody who doesn't believe in
I
God.
want to explain it to all the Christians.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Yeah. So so that's what they're. So now, what energizes us though is we want to create justice, promote truth, and peace. See, so that's different than their motivation. And so, even when I grew up in San Francisco, and so in 1964 I went to the Republican National Convention at the Cow Palace. You know, it's like San Francisco had a Republican mayor, Republican governor, Republican congresspeople, and then, but see, what the problem was is they said, the East Coast would say, oh, you guys are not cultured like us, and so, so they said, well, okay, you know what we are? We're progressive.
The new word, yeah.
Yeah, and so they let the beatniks have a couple of blocks on Grand Avenue, and but the beatniks started growing. And they had the folk sings and the marches and the Hungry Eye and all that.
SDS and all those guys.
Right. So then, what's the next one? The hippies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then with the hippies, like 100,000 came in that one summer of
Grateful
love.
Dead, yeah.
Yeah. And so, and that was it. They lost the city at that point. And so then the gay revolution, and that became huge there. So, San Francisco, that's how we became a liberal city. Now I moved to Oregon in 1990, and we had a Republican mayor and Republican senators and, Republican Congress, and, we're progressive though now. Keep Portland weird.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You weren't the only Californian that came up.
yeah, I know, the Californications. But
But a side note to what we're doing here, Oregon is only 3 million people. It's not even the size of San Francisco. Whatever. But we're 3.5, 4. Which means it is changing.
yes, definitely.
See what I'm saying?
Oh yes, definitely.
It's not that big a marginal change like it would be California or Washington.
Right.
The numbers are not that big.
That's true, and there's and a lot of the if you're talking about that's the concentration of a number of people, but if you're talking about the concentration of area, most of Oregon is conservative.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Once you get past Terwilliger. Anyway, but this is what we're thinking.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, definitely. That's the mission.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see Christians just saying, oh well, we lost. And,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
We got to keep fighting until
We're
the
not
day we
talking
die.
California size.
Yeah, but
Okay.
they're fighting back now too.
They
Orange
are.
County, San
Yeah.
Diego County. Yeah.
Yeah.
Modern progressivism or communism or whatever you want to call it is nothing more than reconstituted feudalism.
Feudalism, like
Feudalism.
Go ahead,
You
Rich.
have a handful of people who say they know better on how to do everything. So you give them all of your liberty and all of your first fruits of your labor, and they're going to take care of you.
yeah, right. Yeah, that's what they did with the black community for sure.
So they're the modern day lords and ladies of the manor who are going to take care of you if you give them the first fruits of your labor and give them all of your freedom.
Right, and they're energized by the fact that they're not free also.
So they're energized by freedom. Where does love fit into all this? 'Cause
Well, that's the con,
They
Yeah.
want to be free to sin is their problem.
Yeah,
The people who are sin sick is the reason that they're endorsing this whole lifestyle.
yeah. They don't realize that love and freedom and peace comes from the enclosure thing that I talked about. Just letting God be God, telling us what to do, because He made it, and so He knows what to do, and just relax and enjoy life and experience love and peace.
Let Him be on the throne.
So, get back to where you were. You said that's the con. Go ahead. Love's the con.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh yeah. It's disgusting. The Democrats do that a lot.
Go ahead.
They have the image. They project the image that they're the love and peace ones. Love trumps hate.
Oh yeah.
As they beat people with those signs.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So in other words, they create a straw man of what would sound good to anybody, which is love and peace and fairness and niceness and
Yeah.
we're going to be real nice to these people as they kill themselves and rob from us.
Justice.
Yeah. So no, they're not into justice.
Well, their version is
Oh
justice.
yeah, just us.
They define it.
What the average person don't realize is that the people that they're giving all this power to are really monsters,
Right.
and they won't have the freedom to do their sin once those people take over.
Yeah, they're selfish and greedy. That's what their motivation
Those
is.
people, once they have complete power, they will rule with an iron fist, just like Mao Zedong or Stalin.
Oh, well, that's gotten real bad. Yeah, that really gets out there. Yeah, it's
That's who they're giving their power to, is the devil.
right. And then they'll put up people, who kind of look okay,
Sound okay.
but like Obama or something, but they're really like the front for the Saul Alinsky's and the real bad people. Yeah.
How did Hitler get
Go
the
ahead.
power? He
Keep
played
going.
on the fears of the people around him.
The what?
Hitler got into power by playing on the fears and the hatred.
Well,
of
that's
the people
true.
around him.
I know a guy who grew up in Germany during that time when Hitler came to power. And, his arguments seemed good and for the people. And that's how he got to the positions he was in. Then once he was in the positions and controlled the military, then it's too late now. You've already lost the country.
Except that instead of the Jews being the bad guys, guess who's the bad guys to them now?
Christians.
You and I.
Right. Well, see, the only thing is God did step in, though, and Trump got elected. So...
That's a miracle in itself.
Yeah, that is a miracle.
Totally.
All they outwitted themselves. All the polls were saying,
There's no way he should have got
yeah, right. Oh, Hillary's going to win because women now are going to, another freedom thing, right? And so,
It was a miracle. It had to be a miracle.
yeah.
But God has to, and it's the Christians that did it. But it was still a miracle.
That's
God,
true.
God absolutely
They didn't see
stepped
it
in and
coming.
gave us one last shot.
Yeah, you're right. This is the last shot.
It is. It is.
He even said that.
Yeah.
He said that when he when he was running. That if you don't do it this time, that's it. It's all over.
America's done.
Yeah.
If he wants a revival, he will create the mechanism for the revival.
And
Right.
as we watch this, we really feel our timing is just right on target.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this couldn't have happened 4 years ago.
No. So go ahead. We're sorry we interrupt you, but
No, that's it. Well, the last point I make is because you were mentioning the occult.
yeah.
So what is Satan? And there we go. Okay, so Satan's not this red guy with horns and a tail and a pitchfork. Everybody pictures him that way, but no, Satan is just the most beautiful creation that God ever made. Number one. Number two, and he just said, God's got his way. I'm not into it. I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to bring a lot of people alongside of me. So he's like most people I know, who just said, I'm not doing it God's way. I'm doing it my way.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's exactly what Satan is, and that's exactly his influence on the world. Is there's a bunch of people who want to do it their way. They want to be their own God, and they're they're moved by their flesh, you know, and their impulse, you know, and getting along with each other, and they create this. That's why, you know, that's what we're working up against, you know.
It
It's
is.
this peer pressure in the culture, and then they've got the, you know, Hollywood and music, and yeah, you know, and it's just that's what we're up against. But it's happening. It is happening. That Roseanne thing was a shocker. Yeah. You know, when she said the prayer, I don't know if you saw the program, but she said the prayer. She said, "Let's say grace," and she says grace. She goes, "And thank you, Lord, for making America great again."
On nationwide TV.
Yeah, I know, and getting high ratings.
Huge rating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
We're
know,
out there.
the greedy people even have to recognize that the American public is a huge chunk
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
That's for.
Yeah.
I mean, they've gone far enough with the football, with you know, kneeling, and you know,
Yeah.
they
And who's the people that go to those games? It ain't the liberals.
right. That's right.
It's us.
Huge backlash.
Yeah, no,
huge
you're
backlash.
spitting on your fans.
Yeah, right. And they don't realize they got so arrogant, just like before the election with Hillary. They got so arrogant that, you know, oh, we're taking over. We're just going to continue taking over.
Once again, it's their religion.
Yeah, that's right. It is. And because they don't have religion, they don't have peace. And because they don't have peace, they're addicted to freedom. And they're breaking down barriers. And yeah, until they find God, and God is in their heart, giving them that peace and the freedom, they're going to continue doing that.
Amen.
You got to go through Christ.
Right.
He didn't die on the cross for fun. It was not a fun thing to do that day.
Right. No.
He did it because he had to do it for our behalf.
Right.
Our greatest day is going to be in that twinkling of an eye when we are changed.
Right.
Corruption.
Bring as many people as we can with us.
Can you take a couple minutes for questions?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because
You guys got some questions out?
in the back there.
Yeah, you back there. Okay. Take the mic and
Corruption takes on incorruption, and then from that moment on, I won't ever be a sinner again.
that's true.
I'll be a sinner till that resurrection moment.
Right. I have a theory about that, but
Now, one of the things that you sort of touched on, and that is that the other side does this assumptive, we're right, and if you go against our group things such as evolution,
we'll call you names.
yeah, you're anti-science, or they'll mock you to shut you up because they don't no longer have to prove it. It's now an assumed truth.
Right.
How do you combat that?
Global warming.
Because you've been against it,
Yeah,
obviously, a
global
number of times.
Yeah, I have a whole chapter on global warming, by the way. I prove that it's not, you know, well, I mean, just the fact that it used to be ice age coming,
Yeah.
then global warming.
Well, global warming
And-
is
and
the
then-
fifth version of evolution.
Yeah, now it's called climate change.
Climate change,
Once you
right.
have scientific acceptance and agreement, then it's no longer a theory; it's a truth.
Right.
So anybody who goes against it is going against science or against the
What's
truth.
Right.
What's happened to
So-
the scientific community is it's been hijacked. by these
Well, we know
people.
that. But
That's
what
true.
do you normally do?
And it's not, and it's been hijacked in a very unfriendly and unscientific.
Sure, people get fired. What's that one that Ben Stein, that video that he had out, expelled? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
and they call name and they mock.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to get pulled in. I mean, I go online and I see these people are just mocking me and calling me names. I tell them, I go, you know, where's your intelligent argument? You know, I'll debate with you, no problem. I'm open-minded. Where's your? No, you're stupid. You're a Nazi. You know. So, what did Jesus say to do about that? Dust on the heels.
Mhm. No, I hear you.
Yeah, he says, you know,
I used to be into that too, and I just ended up same thing.
you realize finally you're
What's
not going
the
to get through
point,
the
you know?
you're not going to get through the
Pearls.
swine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So So I put my stuff in friendlier people's venues
Right.
to basically give them arguments when they
Right.
run into it. I think is what I end up doing.
Yeah, you know, there's another thing too. It's that, you know, the Bible says they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it, and so why waste time? Foolish speculations create arguments.
Right.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to accept that.
Right.
When you're making sense to somebody,
Yeah.
you know, that they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
What did Jesus say when he was going from village to village? Those who don't receive us, let us brush the dust off their feet
Yeah.
and move on to the next one.
Right.
Well, I like that you've really got the science side of it down,
Right.
and you've really given yourself a lot of different weapons from knowledge standpoint. So if they do the usual, oh, you're anti-science, you can say, no, I'm arguing.
You're anti-science.
Yes, because science really, if scientists were really true to themselves, they would open their mind to, am I proving God not existing, or am I proving God exists?
Right.
And I would give it equal bearing.
Right.
And as science gets deeper and deeper into science, as you're finding out, more and more of the science points to that there is a God.
Absolutely. No,
There's no
it proves it.
explanation for half of this, any of this stuff.
And it's impossible to be an atheist too. I've said
It
that.
really is.
It's
The
impossible
modern-
because you'd have to go to every corner of the universe